Tonight, you travel quietly back in time. And as you do, the noise of the present loosens its grip, fading gently behind you, until all that remains is the soft sense of arrival. The feeling of stepping across an unseen threshold and finding yourself standing at the edge of an ancient Chinese city at night, where the air is cool and the stone beneath your feet still holds the memory of warmth from the day, while a single lantern glows softly beneath the eaves of a wooden hall, casting long shadows that stretch calmly across the courtyard before you. If you find comfort in journeys like this, you can subscribe and return whenever you like. But for now, there is nothing to follow, nowhere to be, and nothing required of you, except to let your breathing slow and allow the night to open around you. You begin to walk forward, not with any destination in mind, but with the simple ease of movement, as the path reveals itself in quiet pieces, worn stone tiles set carefully together, leading inward between wooden columns darkened by age, their surfaces smoothed by generations of passing hands, each one reflecting just enough lantern light to guide you onward without asking for attention. The city feels settled here, as though it has already exhaled for the evening, doors closed, voices faded, the last traces of the day gently folded away, leaving behind only architecture and the soft companionship of light and shadow resting together in patient balance. As you move deeper into the courtyard, the space opens wider around you, its proportions generous and unhurried, stone meeting stone in patterns shaped long ago, each surface worn into quiet familiarity, and the lantern glow reveals only what needs to be seen, never more, never less, allowing your attention to soften and your thoughts to drift without direction. With each step, the sense of time loosens further, until the present no longer presses at all, replaced by the calm rhythm of walking and the soundless awareness of moving through a place that expects nothing from you, where the night has already arranged itself into balance and nothing feels unfinished. Somewhere nearby, water moves gently against stone, its presence felt more than heard, adding to the stillness rather than breaking it, while shadows gather beneath rooflines and arches, deepening without urgency, as though the city knows this hour well and trusts it completely. You pass beneath an archway, and for a moment, the lantern light draws closer, warming the ground beneath your feet, before opening again into another quiet space, where walls rise calmly on either side, their surfaces marked by time, yet steady and reassuring, as if they have always been here, waiting for this same hour to return. Here the lanterns are spaced farther apart, their glow softer, their presence more suggestive than guiding. And the darkness between them feels calm rather than empty, inviting your eyes to rest and your body to move without thought, as the quiet rhythm of the city continues around you. A faint breeze moves through the corridor, cool against your skin, carrying with it the scent of wood and stone, and something older, something familiar, as though the night itself has passed this way many times before, settling into the same paths and the same stillness, again and again. You become aware of how little effort the walk requires now, how each step seems to place itself, guided by the shape of the path, by the gentle slope of stone, by the way the lantern light falls ahead of you, and you allow yourself to follow without question, without thought, without any need to decide what comes next. There is a quiet confidence in the city at this hour, a sense that everything has found its place, and that nothing is in a hurry to change, not now and not tonight. The air feels cooler now, touched by deeper night, and your pace slows naturally, not because you decide to slow, but because the city invites it, guiding you gently inward, away from effort, away from intention, toward a simpler awareness of being here, and nowhere else. With every step, the walk becomes less about moving forward, and more about being carried by the steady placement of stone, by the quiet glow of lanterns, by the unspoken agreement between the city and the night, that this time belongs to rest. And as you continue, unseen and unremarkable, the ancient city receives you fully, holding you within its calm, and offering you this quiet passage inward, one unhurried moment at a time. You move onward, and the city draws you into its quieter heart, where domestic life has already settled for the night. and the lanterns feel less like markers on a road and more like gentle reminders that people have been here and have now withdrawn behind screens and doors, leaving the courtyards to breathe in peace. And as you pass a low wall, you notice a small cluster of lamps set close to the ground, their glow held inside paper shades, softening the light until it feels like warmth rather than brightness. And you can almost imagine the last hands that adjusted them, the last careful pause before sleep. And you walk beneath a covered passage where wooden beams run overhead in steady rhythm, and the shadows they cast fall like quiet stripes across the stone, not sharp, not dramatic, simply present, as if the architecture itself is speaking in a calm, repeating tone. And along one side, lattice windows rest behind dark frames, their patterns barely visible unless you look directly, and even then the night keeps most of the detail for itself, offering only hints, only outlines, only the comfort of knowing that the city is orderly and intact. And the air here carries a faint scent of tea leaves and extinguished oil, the lingering trace of evening tasks completed without hurry. And you feel your own pace soften in response, not because you decide to slow, but because everything around you has already slowed. And when the corridor opens into another courtyard, the space is held by a single lantern under the eaves, its light falling onto a shallow stone basin where water sits still, and the surface does not shimmer, it simply holds the glow, steady and quiet, as though even reflection has chosen to rest. And you continue past closed doors and quiet thresholds, and there is no sense of being watched, only the gentle sense that you are moving through the outer edges of private life without disturbing it, like a shadow passing along a wall. And somewhere inside, a faint creak of wood settles, a house easing into night, and then the sound is gone, leaving you again with the soft companionship of your own breath and the steady placement of your steps. And the path turns slightly, guiding you between garden stones and low shrubs, and the leaves are dark, heavy with night, catching only the smallest glints of lantern light at their edges. And you notice how the city has arranged itself for comfort, how walls block the wind, how corridors shelter the walk, how the lanterns are placed where a person might need reassurance, not where a person might need spectacle. And as you move deeper into this calm domestic layer, the present feels farther away than ever, and the night feels closer, kinder, more complete, and you let yourself travel through it without thought, without effort, simply following the gentle order of stone and wood, as if the city is guiding you home, even if you do not belong to any one door. And ahead a screen door sits slightly ajar, not open enough to invite you in, only open enough to let a thin slice of lantern light fall across the threshold. And in that small spill of light, you can see the grain of the wood, the careful joinery, the quiet pride of something made to last. And you pass it slowly, feeling the intimacy of the moment, without needing to touch it, without needing to know who lives there, because the night has already told you what matters, that people have done what they needed to do and have allowed themselves to rest. And the corridor narrows again, and the air becomes warmer for a few steps, as if you are walking alongside a kitchen that has only recently gone quiet, where embers have been covered, bowls rinsed, and the last cup set down with a soft and final sound. And then the warmth fades, replaced by the cool steadiness of stone, and you find yourself beside a small courtyard garden where bamboo rises in dark vertical lines, and under the bamboo, a single lantern hangs from a beam, its light catching a patch of moss between stones. And you continue, following the way the path keeps you close to walls and shelter, as if the city is guiding you along the quietest route, the route meant for someone who is tired. And your breathing answers that quiet, slowing further, lengthening, until it feels as though your body has learned the pace of this place. And when you reach another corner, the lantern light shifts across a set of stone steps, worn smooth in the center, and you follow that worn line without thinking, because the city has already chosen the easiest path for you. And the night, patient and unhurried, continues to carry you forward. The city begins to thin, not into emptiness, but into the quieter spaces that lie between home and horizon, where paths stretch longer and lanterns feel farther apart. And you sense you are nearing the edges, the places where gardens, walls, and water carry the night away from crowded courtyards and into open stillness. And the stone beneath you changes slightly, becoming narrower, more deliberate, guiding you along a channel where water runs beside the path. And you do not need to hear it clearly to know it is there, because the air is cooler above it, and the lantern light breaks into softer shapes whenever it touches the surface. And as you walk, the water becomes a companion at your side, a steady presence that keeps time without sound. And you notice small bridges arcing over it, their steps worn smooth, their railings dark and quiet. And each time you cross, you feel a gentle lift, a small change in height that slows you naturally for a moment, as if the city has built pauses into the landscape. And beyond the water, garden stones rest among low plants, and the shapes of bamboo and pine lean inward, not dramatic, not wild, simply arranged with care so that even the darkness feels tended. And you follow a turn in the path and find a small shrine tucked beside a wall, modest and unadorned, its roofline barely visible, its presence marked by one steady candle flame protected from wind. And you do not stop to examine it, you only let it be part of the night, a quiet point of warmth in a larger quiet. And farther on, the walkway narrows between higher walls, and the lanterns become fewer. And in the deeper darkness, you become aware of the city's watchful gentleness, not the alertness of danger, but the simple fact that someone, somewhere, has made sure the lamps are lit, and the gates are closed, and the night is safe to move through. And you catch the faintest suggestion of footsteps in the distance, not approaching, not calling, simply passing along another corridor, a watchman moving with the same unhurried pace that the city seems to prefer. And then the sound fades, leaving you again with water, stone, and shadow. And the sky above is mostly hidden by rooflines and branches, and that is a comfort, because it keeps the world small, contained, manageable, letting your mind rest inside the boundaries of walls and paths. And when you come to a broader opening, the water widens into a still pool beside a garden terrace, and the lantern glow lays itself across the surface like silk. And you stand there for a moment without deciding to stop, simply because the scene offers stillness so completely that movement feels unnecessary. And as you begin again, your steps feel softer than before, as though even your body has learned to travel quietly, as though the night itself is carrying you now.
You notice how the stones are set with slight gaps where rainwater can slip away, and those narrow seams catch tiny threads of light, making the ground feel gently patterned. And a low wall runs beside you, warm where lantern light touches it, cool where shadow holds it, and your hand could rest there if you wished, but you do not need to reach out, because the wall already steadies the space just by being present. And ahead, an outer gate stands half in darkness, half in lantern glow, heavy wood framed by stone, not closed in a harsh way, only closed in the quiet way a night closes, with patience, with certainty. And beyond that boundary, you sense open land, fields, riverbanks, the wider world resting outside the walls, but you remain within this sheltered band of light and shadow where the path is known and the night is gentle. And as you continue, the water channel bends away and returns again, sometimes beside you, sometimes below you, sometimes hidden under a small stone span, and each change is like a slow breath, in and out, coolness moving through the garden air, and you feel it along your hands and face, a gentle reminder that the world has turned fully toward night, and that you are safe to let your attention go loose, safe to let the walk become simpler and simpler, and you keep walking, feeling the night deepen, feeling your thoughts soften into long, slow shapes, until even memory feels distant, and only the immediate scene remains, water beside stone, lantern beside shadow, the city at its edge, steady and kind. At last, the path bends back inward, and the city offers you one more sheltered place, one more quiet room of light before you let go of the walk entirely. And you pass through a simple wooden doorway into a small study space that rests beside an open threshold, where a desk sits close to the lantern, and the lantern's glow falls across paper and brush in a gentle spill. A scroll rolled neatly, a stone weight holding a corner still, a cup set down in its final place, as though the evening ended here with calm hands and no urgency. And you do not need to imagine the person who sat here.
you only need to feel the quiet order left behind, the way objects become softer when they are no longer being used, the way a room becomes peaceful when it has nothing left to do. And as you stand near the desk, you notice the air is slightly warmer, held by wood and walls, and the warmth feels like a last gentle layer between you and the deeper night. And outside the doorway, the alley waits, narrow and dark, lined with high walls that guide the shadows into one calm direction. And you step out slowly, letting the lantern behind you remain where it is, not pulling you back, only marking where you have been. And as you walk down the alley, the stone beneath your feet is smoother here, polished by years of quiet passing, and the walls on either side carry faint marks of time, subtle textures that your eyes do not need to follow, because nothing here is asking you to focus. And somewhere ahead, a single lantern hangs under an eave, its light softened by distance, and you move toward it without intention, not as a goal, only as a gentle point for your attention to rest upon. And as you reach it, the light does not brighten suddenly, it simply stays calm, as if even the lantern understands that this is an hour for easing, an hour for release. And you begin to notice that your thoughts have become slower than your steps, arriving later, arriving softer, until they no longer matter at all. And the city feels less like a place you are traveling through, and more like a quiet presence holding you, steady and unbroken, so that you can loosen everything you have been carrying. And when the alley opens into a small courtyard at the far end, the space is almost empty, only stone, a low wall, and a shallow bowl where water has gathered from earlier hours. And the surface reflects a faint glow, not bright enough to catch, only gentle enough to confirm that the night is here. And you stand for a moment, and the moment is not an interruption, it is the natural end of movement. And you feel how easy it would be to stop trying, to stop holding your attention upright, to stop insisting on any next thing. And in that ease, the city seems to offer you the simplest permission, that you can rest now, that you can let the lanterns keep watch without you. And as you remain there, the air seems to settle in layers, cool at your cheeks, warmer near the lantern's reach, and you feel the quiet difference between them like a slow tide. And somewhere beyond the wall, a gate beam shifts slightly as it relaxes into its hinges, a small sound that does not demand attention, only confirms that even wood is resting, even stone is resting, even the city itself is choosing stillness. And you listen without trying to listen, not hunting for details, only letting the silence be wide enough to hold whatever remains. And the water in the bowl offers a faint repeating calm, a slow touch against the edge, a gentle movement that never becomes a ripple, never becomes a disturbance. And your breathing begins to match that pace, longer on the way in, longer on the way out, as if your body has found a rhythm that belongs to this place. And you realize that the night walk has already brought you what you came for. Not information, not explanation, only the feeling of being held inside a world that is at rest. And you let that feeling widen until it fills the space behind your eyes, until it softens the muscles of your face, until it loosens your shoulders, until it makes your hands feel heavier. And the lanterns do not need you, the paths do not need you, the city does not need you. It will remain here, quiet, whether you watch it or not. And you allow the ancient city to remain behind your eyelids, warm lantern light, soft stone, patient walls, and there is nothing to follow, nowhere to be, nothing required, only the gentle drift as you let the night carry you down and down and down.